That's all I remember.
The front-end dates on the agreement, I have to link the second sign.
Right, and once the mayor signs, that's usually that's when the date of all bonds have dates on, so we have to go through and just, it'll take me 5 minutes to go through and just.
Thank you. And I think I can do that Monday. Thursday, right? I have a Zoom at 1 o'clock, so if it's 11:30 to 12:30, if you ever get all these go on, I think I can do it.
This is the finance table project in my district.
But you can come in, you're another councilman, you can come in. Say what? Let's have your Bible study. As soon as you get there. Well, call me, let me know, because I got this phone out when I was working, whatever. We're trying to say 11:30. So we want to go. You have one? All right. They're expensive. But we can go to M1. Fifth Tavern would be fine. 11:30 at Fifth Tavern. I will be there. And we say, be there. Be sure. These look like skaters. How you doing, buddy? You doing good? Y'all look like skaters. And there's a sign in. Don't forget to sign in. Everybody sign in. Everybody sign in.
What's that? Yeah. Yeah. We're
Actually, the post.
Should we go ahead and kick things off?
Welcome, everyone. Good evening. I'm Tim Greimel. I'm the mayor of Pontiac. For those of you who don't know me, we are really excited. I know many of you have been following this process since its inception, and we, through the hard work of our grants director, Alex Horngesser, and through the generosity of a number of donors, including Oakland County, but a lot of hard work from a lot of activists, have raised a sufficient amount of money and allocated enough money to invest in the skate park project, and we're really, really excited about the opportunities that this will bring to the community. As I think everyone is aware already, we selected the Oakland Park site, where we've long had a skateboarder presence, as the location for the project. And we went out to try to select a vendor to do the design build of the skate park. And we have recommended and approved Grindline as that vendor. And we're joined this evening by Matt, who is with Grindline, to run through the proposed design of the project. I also want to recognize our wonderful City Council President Pro Tem, William Carrington, who's here. Let's give him a round of applause. Council President Pro Tem Carrington represents the 6th District here in the city, and that's where this project is located, so we really appreciate him coming out to learn more about the project. We look forward not only to having a process this evening where we convey information and our proposal to you, but even more importantly, we look forward to having the opportunity to hear from you about your feedback, your questions, any concerns or suggestions that you want to share. So please don't hesitate to ask those questions and provide that feedback, because that's really what this town hall is all about. I'm sorry to say that I won't be able to stick around, because we, in our eagerness to solicit feedback through town hall processes here in the city, we have another town hall this evening that I need to run over to kick things off about another exciting project. So I am going to turn it over to our director of our grants department, Alex Horngesser, who will then introduce Matt and turn it over to Matt to get into all of the nuts and bolts. So Alex, do you want to briefly introduce Matt and say a few additional details?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much for coming out. Again, do not be shy about asking questions, providing feedback and input. That is the only way that we're going to make this project be the best possible project it can be, that most importantly addresses the concerns, interests, and needs of the skateboarding community. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Alex?
Thanks, Mayor. So as you all know, the skate park project was comprised of a group of local activists and skate enthusiasts, and the group came together to write a matching grant to what was then known as the Tony Hawk Foundation, is now the skate park project, and they received a matching grant in the form of $250,000. This opportunity was made possible through the generosity of Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, and the objective was for this group to raise the matching funds required to build a $500,000 skate park that was 10,000 square feet, free and public in the city of Pontiac. The skate park project independently raised $70,000 in pursuit of the matching funds awarded. The Oakland County Commission committed half of the matching requirement to the city of Pontiac, and the remaining $55,000 was committed by the city of Pontiac in support of the grant as well. Through this collaborative funding partnership, the city was able to engage in the RFP process and solicit community feedback through community listening sessions, as well as adhere to the Parks and Rec Master Plan. This was created using the guidelines for the development of community parks, recreation, open space, and green plans by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. The Parks and Rec Master Plan incorporated input from public comment periods and public hearings, and was formally adopted by the Pontiac City Council and we use this as a roadmap for making the site selection in Oakland Park. After joining forces with the Pontiac Skatepark project community and the activists, the city conducted a public town hall to gather feedbacks for the site selection, specifically in Oakland Park. The town hall was held on March 7th. We had 22 in-person attendees and 163 virtual attendees. The city also conducted a canvass of the neighborhood surrounding Oakland Park, and the activist group collected signatures and conducted an online petition as well. After all of this activity, the city engaged in the formal RFP process per city charter and with respect to ordinances and the proper procedure here at City Hall. And the city did select and gather proposals on June 3rd of this year, and a selection was made by City Council and the Executive Office in partnership with the Pontiac Skatepark Project Group, an engineer from Nowak and Frost, Mr. Chad Finley, and the city planner, and we did award that contract to Grindline, who is here to talk to you today about amenities, park design, this process, the timeline, and what this looks like for Pontiac residents who will enjoy this space in Oakland Park. So our objective is to hear a short presentation from Grindline, and then to engage in the listening session where residents have the opportunity to give us clear and direct feedback about what you hope to see in the skate park and the surrounding area. Any questions? That was fast. Thanks.
Thank you, Alex. I'm just gonna shut half of these lights off here so everybody can see a little bit better. All right for everybody? So yeah, my name is Matt Fliggy. I'm CEO at Grindline Skate Parks. Been with Grindline for almost 20 years now. Done just about every job in the office throughout those years and several in the field as well. But I oversee all of the design and construction jobs that we do. Just going to talk a little bit about who we are, talk about our design philosophy, and also the design and construction process, so you guys can kind of understand what the next steps are ahead of us as we go through the project. And then just show some different examples of parks that we've done just to kind of get the creative juices flowing, or some thoughts on what you guys might want to see in your park. And then we'll do a little around the room where we kind of want to know if you guys were able to pick, one or two things, whether it's a skate feature or something that represents Pontiac and gives some local identity. Anything like that we want to hear, and we want to make sure we incorporate into the conceptual design. So let's get started. Oh, and I guess just a side note, this meeting is being streamed, and I think recorded too, maybe. So once we do get input, we'll want to do one at a time up at the podium, so everybody online can hear as well. So yeah, we are Grindline Skate Parks. We design and build concrete cast-in-place skate parks all over the United States and several overseas projects as well. We feel like we've designed and built just about every type of concrete terrain that you can think of, whether it's giant crazy bowls with full pipe in the state of Texas, incorporating things like boulders and things that we find on site, accent lighting within the skate terrain, different materials, some exposed aggregate pool coping here, local identity. This is a park in Burlington, Vermont, right next to Lake Mayfield, that has a pretty heavy sailing community. So we kind of did this concrete mast here, and also you can see this manual pad shaped in the state of Vermont. We've done skate parks that are not just skate parks specifically. Actually, that's a bigger picture of what I was just about to talk about. But also communal gathering places. This is a park we did right in front of the Museum of Art in Philadelphia, the famous one with the rocky stairs and the statue up top. But it was kind of a sort of a radial design where the central area was more skate park centric and focused, and as you kind of move outside on the bigger radiuses, it becomes kind of a mixed gathering area for pedestrians and users, and then finally ends in more pedestrian favorable type of features. Also incorporating things like concrete color and stamping textures. This is some brick stamped concrete. You can see some landscape features in the middle of the park there. And, you know, as far as our philosophy, we base it on community involvement, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a second, timeless design, and integration and context. So community involvement, that's what we're doing right here. That's what we've been doing with the online survey that you guys have hopefully seen and participated in, because we want to engage with you guys as the skate community and even non-skaters in the community who have interest in this project. We also want to empower you. You know, we want you guys to feel like this is your skate park that you're a part of from the get-go, and that we're going to come in and design and build this thing, and we're going to be out of here and on the road to the next one, and it's going to be your guys' responsibility to be good stewards. You know, make sure there's not things going on there that shouldn't be, and just take ownership of, you know, this world-class park that several parties have provided. And, you know, just exchange this information. So where we go from here is we take all this feedback that we got from you guys, as well as site information, and go back to our headquarters and as a team come up with a conceptual design, and then the next step will be sharing that with you guys again in a meeting similar to this. And as far as timeless design, so what does that mean? Number one, flow. This is a term that kind of gets thrown around probably even too much in skate park design these days, but you know, you guys are going to come up with a wish list of, you know, a million things that you want to see in this park, and we're going to have to take all those ideas and basically develop them into a cohesive design where, you know, spatial relationships are recognized and features are placed in proper distances from each other, you know, heights and transition radiuses and things like that to make sure the whole park functions as one. Progression, we actually call it the ladder of progression, and our philosophy behind design is not to have like segregated areas where this is the beginner zone over here and here's the intermediate. It's to basically successfully design terrain that's fun for all ages and skill levels. So it's stuff that, you know, the beginners or the little guys or whoever can kind of still have fun on and hone their skills and everything, and is even, you know, super fun for advanced level skaters for years, decades, etc. And then aesthetics, you know, what can we do to sort of soften? These are big concrete monoliths, and what can we do to sort of soften that look, whether it's integrated color, texture, green spaces in the center, things like that. Bear with me, guys. I am battling a little bit of a cold. It's not COVID. I took a test. It's preschoolers in the household. Constant battle. As far as integration and context, we're going to talk a little bit about the goals specific to this project. Get into a little bit of site analysis, kind of the two different locations within Oakland Park that we're looking at, and what some of those opportunities and constraints might be at each location. And just talk a little bit more about local identity, like what do we want to incorporate into this design that you know, that represents Pontiac. Project goals accommodate all age and skill levels with an inclusive park design. The park should also accommodate multiple users at once. Green stormwater infrastructure shall be incorporated into the design in a way that not only protects water quality but also serves as habitat creation, recreational connectivity, and unique gathering spot for users of the skate park. So this is not only a goal, but it's tied to a grant requirement for the project. So heavy emphasis will be to incorporate that into the design. Should be designed and developed to expand a variety of experiences and skills and encourage progressive skill building at all levels. And again, that just goes back to what we were talking about earlier, the ladder of progression. And all you guys that just rolled in, you guys all get questionnaires and everything? Cool, so take your time filling them out. You know, you can wait, we can wait till the end or whatever to collect them. Community input will also be incorporated. Again, that is what we're doing here tonight. Final design should include one signature feature that is creative and unique to skate parks in our area. So, again, this is where we'd love to hear from you guys as far as ideas on what you might want to see as a signature feature here. Skate park budget is $500,000 all in, and includes a grant from the skate park project. This total budget, it has to include all the design and engineering that comes in on the front end, the actual construction, any permitting, which sounds like it'll be minimal for this project. And the goal is to get 10,000 square feet of skate terrain, or as close to that as possible. And again, the final size will be determined throughout the design process. So here's Oakland Park. 2 locations are currently being looked at. Just labeled the general areas I labeled here as A and B. There's A, there's B. The current skate park and kind of DIY you got going on, which is, you guys got some rad features going out there. It's pretty cool. But so this is where this sits in relationship to these 2 sites. And this is site A, so this is, oops, sorry, only 3 buttons and I can't see the image. So this is looking at site A from this location, kind of in the northeast to the open area here. As you guys can see, it's a big, expansive area. It actually slopes down west to east. So that could be a little bit of a disadvantage as far as looking at how we're going to drain this thing, because ultimately, it's going to need to drain back to the east and pick up in the drainage along the street there. Looking at preliminarily this afternoon, it looks like those drain lines run pretty deep down, but it sounds like they could also be on the far side of the street. So those are things that we'll consider and ultimately kind of consult with our civil engineer on our team to help make recommendations. There may be kind of a bigger picture, like additional amenities and things like that added to the skate park. So a big advantage of this site is that there is plenty of room for that. And then this is just another shot of site A looking down from the southeast towards northwest. This is site B, which is the grass area between the basketball courts and basketball courts to the east, and then the skate park to the west. So this kind of square grass zone here, and this view is looking from the southeast to northwest. A little bit smaller footprint size. We have this kind of hill up here, which could create kind of a site access issue during construction as far as getting concrete trucks on site and dump trucks and stuff like that. There's looks to be an alternate kind of entry towards the east that might be usable. Also, how would we do ADA access? Would it come down from the sidewalk up here, kind of cut into this hillside both ways, or come straight over from the tennis courts or skate park into the new area? There's also quite a few mature trees in the immediate adjacent area. So what does that look like maintenance-wise as far as cleaning up leaves and acorns or nuts or whatever these different trees are dropping? And then there's a view looking from the northeast to the southwest. You can kind of get a feel for how. I'm sure you guys have all been down here and seen what it looks like. But I think both sites are doable. It's just kind of probably going to come down to ultimately to what is the most feasible area to drain. we want to be spending as much money as we can on skatable terrain and not a bunch of drainage stuff. So, except for the money we need to, Trevor, for the green infrastructure, of course. Local identity. So we kind of try to celebrate local identity on all the projects we do, or at least most of them, and how we do it is always on different levels, whether it's more subtle or a little bit more literal. Like, for instance, this is Spring Park in Houston, Texas, one of the biggest parks in the world. But they really went all out with their Texas theme, and they had us do this big bowl in the shape of the state of Texas. You got your Texas Star over here, that's huge in the street course. Example of kind of very literal representation. More subtle. This is a project we did for the Sklallam Indian tribe in Washington State, and their tribal logo is the salmon, and we did these kind of fish scale stair risers, each of which are a different color, so kind of more subtle. Project here we did in Hana, Maui, Hawaii. You can see the 4 different skate volcanoes representing the different volcanoes of the islands. Down here, park in Manchester, we're actually doing, this was phase 1, we're doing phase 2 and 3 currently for the park. Excuse me, it's right along the river. We did this, blue dyed concrete throughout the park to represent the river adjacent to Manchester. And now just to talk a little bit more about the process. So we talked a little bit about site analysis, community input, and we'll actually look at the survey data, the online survey data here in a second. And then from there, conceptual design, cost estimating, construction documents, and construction. So this is getting into the survey results. Hopefully you guys all filled out surveys before the deadline. As far as folks who live in Pontiac versus not, 68% were yes, we live in Pontiac, which is actually, that's really good results there. So age groups, definitely the bulk was between 18 and 34 who filled out the survey. Pretty solid 45 plus representation on this, which is always good to see for us old guys. Sounds like as far as amenities to skate park features, it was overwhelmingly 80% skate park to 20% amenities. Survey results, lighting being at the top, that's pretty typical in every survey we do. Unfortunately, active use lighting is a very expensive amenity, and that's something to consider. I mean, you'd be looking at spending nearly a quarter of your $500,000 budget on lighting if that was the chosen route to go. So it looks like the consensus was 60% street skate features versus 40% transitional features. That's a pretty good ratio, and I think kind of with the other two close behind it, the 40% street and versus 60% transitional, and the 80% street versus 20% transitional, I think that 60-40 is definitely looks like the number we want to be close to with our overall design. For street features, this one was definitely no surprises to me. I think getting your quintessential, kind of most basic but most used street features of all, just having a good ledge, a good flat ledge, manual pad, flat bar rail. I mean, these 3 features, they may not look super attractive and interesting on paper or renderings or whatever, but like constantly we see those features getting hit more than anything else in the park by everybody. Skatable art ranked pretty high too as well. And then some of these other items, I think we can probably have a pretty good chance of incorporating most of these items into the transitional features, you have the mini ramp being number one, then your quarter, steel coping. A lot of these items can kind of be incorporated into sort of a transitional space where we can knock out a lot of this wish list, kind of incorporate it all into one. Okay, and we talked a little bit more about the rest of the process of community input earlier. So from there we go to conceptual design. That's where we go back and we basically design in 3D, and we provide a rendering and a 3D model of the proposed design. Bring it back out here to Pontiac, have another meeting, share it with you guys. We'll have the nice renderings. Also have the 3D model itself, so we can actually go in there and kind of like sort of skate around the park and look at dimensions and depths and heights and all that stuff, and get your guys' feedback on that. And then the final concept from there. So what we'll probably do with that is, in order to avoid having to come back out here, and when I say avoid, meaning having to come back out, it's just to save money for skate park construction. We'll probably go ahead and share the final concept on the Pontiac Skate Park Facebook page for final comment. And from there, once we have a approved design, we get into construction documents. So these are the blueprints, the working drawings that the crew actually uses to build the park. And then construction, just some photos showing the different phases of construction. Up here you got your mass excavation and form work. You can see kind of the top forms starting to take shape. Underground drainage, more form work and coping, along with some rebar in there, and then getting into shotcrete and concrete placement and finishing. After that, it's time to party. It's time for grand opening and have a celebration. And this is where the park gets turned over to you guys from there on out. I'm just going to show a few different park examples. I actually didn't include a few of the obvious ones like Riverside Park. I figure like several of you guys have been there and are familiar with it, so I was doing some ones kind of further out. This was one mentioned earlier, North Houston Skate Park, 78,000 square feet. Obviously not within your budget for a park this size, but it's got a little bit of everything, and that's why I like to include it, just to kind of give some ideas of both street and transitional terrain that can be included in, and when you guys give me your ideas. We'll just do a little bit of the fly through and then we'll move on. Array of different ledges, manual pads, rails. There's your big Texas star with some China banks there. More street features. We'll go ahead and move on, but just a few ideas there. It's a project we finished up about 2 years ago now in North Bend, Washington, and as you can see, this has a little bit of everything. It's got your street course over here covering your basic features. You got your hubble ledge, down rail, flat bar rail here, flat ledge, little gap here, pyramid. Jersey barrier on top of the bank. You got your flow bowl area throughout here, and kind of pool style bowl here. This, you can't see it in this picture, but this is kind of in the mountains, in the Cascade Mountains, and they've got this huge mountain behind them called Mount Si, which is primarily basalt rock. So we tried to use an integral color to kind of match the the accents of basalt rock to sort of play on the environment there. This is Star Park, Star Skate Park in Star, Idaho, part of the Treasure Valley, which is the Boise area there. I really like this park because it's a nice blend of street and transitional features throughout. There's no, quote unquote bowl or anything in the design, but it's just a mix of like super fun stuff. You've got your transitional features in here, plenty of street course stuff, and it just works super good and makes the park feel, the way it's laid out makes it feel really big. And as far as local identity, again, this is stars, so the city wanted us to incorporate some integral concrete colored stars throughout the design. Tibbetts Skate Park in Issaquah, Washington, and again, good mix of transitional and street features. This was one where we had art incorporation with a local artist, and the artist came in and did basically mural work on all of the vertical, non-skatable features, and they're kind of spread out through different depths of the park, starting with this kind of front wall here. And like from an eye level, they all kind of combine to form one image. So it was really cool to work with the artist on that project and do like a collaborative effort to make it all work. This is Judkins in Seattle. This is I throw this one in here because it's a super subtle approach of identity. The portion of I-90 that comes down from the Cascade Mountains into Seattle is known as the Mountains to Sound Scenic Byway, and we did kind of a snake run to represent the Puget Sound. That's the body of water just outside of Seattle. It goes into the Pacific. We did this kind of crazy extension and these quarters over here to represent the mountains. And then it's kind of hard to see, but in the far area, we did more like ledges and kind of urban type of things to represent the I-99 viaduct in Seattle. So this is an example of local identity that most people don't even recognize when they're there, but we just used it as a design inspiration, and we know it's there. This is a park we did in Springville, New York. This was another built to play grant project, but you can kind of see how the stormwater infrastructure grant was applied here. We've got some bioretention basins here. So these collect water from the skate park, use the water to help the plants grow. This is obviously a fresh new park, so the plants haven't gotten a chance to grow. And Springville wanted something kind of more mellow and kind of more like a skate track type of terrain, so that's what we did. We did kind of a primary zone here, and then this is kind of just a little pump, like a mini pump track zone around the outside there. Hale Skate Park in Wenatchee, Washington. So Wenatchee's a big agricultural community. They're like the apple capital of at least the U.S., maybe the world. I can't remember. But this is just another example of identity. This again being more literal, but we built the apple bowl there with red stained concrete, and then you've got kind of your mini bowl area. This is just like 4 and 6 feet in here, and then street course here. This is a 5,000 square foot park, and I feel like it's a really good use of square footage. All right, and now we want to talk about what we're going to do here. So I'd love to have you guys come up one by one, and we can just kind of we can start with you in the high vis, and then go around. And I'm going to grab this notepad and take notes, but just make sure you head up to the podium and talk there so everybody can hear. Yeah. I'll grab it.
Sure. So talking about what features do you want?
Yeah. So if you could pick, 1 or 2 features or anything to incorporate into the park. It doesn't have to be a skate feature. It can be like we were talking about, local identity or a signature feature or standard features.
That was definitely a big topic of discussion, like what we want as far as like skatable art. I've heard a few different things from people in the area. One idea was a car, like having a car somehow implemented as like a ramp somehow, or maybe reaching out to the Native American tribes, like local Native Americans, to see if they have some input to include in the art. One of my ideas was maybe some of the elements kind of looking like things that represent nature. Maybe like the river that you guys had in one of your parks, like the blue concrete was pretty cool. Maybe just some objects that would look like plants or something to do with nature. And I know that people around in the area mostly skate street obstacles, but kind of mostly going for like street mixed with vert. I know the mini ramp is a mini ramp and a mellow bowl are like very big on the wish list for people in the area.
Mini ramp and mini bowl?
Yep.
All right. All good points.
Oh, and lighting was one for sure. But if it's a huge, like, if it takes a lot of money out of the budget for like concrete and the skate park itself, then definitely we'll reconsider a little bit. Maybe that could be something that's added later with different grant money. And also possibly power, like having a charging station or electrical in some way implemented. But that also could be something from separate funds if it's a big chunk of money that would come out of the skate park grant. And that's pretty much all I have.
Good ones. I have to apologize for my left-handedness. I'll try not to let it smear any more notes here. How about you? You have to go up there. Oh, is that cool? Yeah, let's.
The mic is really serves the people who are watching at home.
There.
Well, I pretty much only have one thing. He covered a lot of things we talk about when we're hanging out and skating. The Pontiac High School, their logo is a phoenix.
Okay.
So I think incorporating a phoenix to the skate park would be pretty cool. And then the color purple too.
I'm biased on that.
I was thinking, as far as the whole street skate / transitional skate, I was thinking we could do more of the pump track type deal, get speed for everything since, I don't know, you're going to need speed, at least later on you are.
Pump track, but maybe with features kind of sprinkled in.
Yeah.
Skate. We call it skate track.
Yeah.
Right.
No one added this.
Yeah, I think a nice 5 or 6 stair with a handrail would be nice, and a nice hip, nice pyramid or hip would be
Me personally, I like skating ledges and hips, pretty much what this dude just said. Hips, ledges, and hovers. And stairs.
I think a bowl would be great. I think everyone's pretty much on par with that, but like a mini style, not too big. And then I think some sort of art that represents some automotive background that we have here. Maybe some cement over top of a car or something that you could skate over top of. I think that you could probably get something like that donated. I don't think it would take a lot of out of our budget to add an old car. Maybe not, but
When we did the Riverside Park project in Detroit, one of the things that we started with in conceptual design, it was like to have there's a manual pad kind of set into the China banks down there, and it was supposed to, originally we were going to have, it was going to be like the front of a car grill on the vertical face or whatever, and for whatever reason it didn't end up getting used. So. Throwing that one out there.
I like that
There's
idea.
A ton of things you can do with Pontiac, you know.
Some China banks, and I thought the volcano idea was pretty sweet too. And these guys hit everything else, everything on the list.
All right, so some of the things that haven't really been hit on. Actually, well, we are the Motor City, like, you know, so that's something that's important. One of the first things that came to mind was the car concept, but we're also the Great Lakes state, so that also lends itself to like a river topography. We have the Clinton River right over there. That could be inspirational. It might not be the right shape, so maybe a Great Lake topography, something to incorporate how many lakes we have and rivers. So that was a thought. You know, the car thing I kept kind of thinking about, and it wasn't clear like how that would age, if that would age well. You know, that was like a concern. I don't want like a car to like be nice and new and then get smashed and be all dented, because cars are, you know, they're not made to be skated on. When I've skated on them, it usually stays that way.
Sure.
So
yeah, I mean, I don't think a concrete car is out of the question.
right.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. Then some other things that I was thinking about was like maybe a way to incorporate like an awning or something like that, because we do get a lot of rain in other seasons. If there was a way to like have like a mini ramp or manual pad ledge, something just like basic for when the rain starts coming, that was like a concept that I thought would be really useful, and no other park has really implemented in the area. Comments on transitions. I would favor something that had shorter flat bottoms. I don't love having to like climb up like to an 8-foot ramp and like, you know, blast all the way across to the far side of the park. I prefer things to be just a little bit tighter. So that was kind of something that I've made comments about in my responses. Another idea that I had was kind of like an area to play a game of skate where it's like bocce ball courts. If you're familiar with bocce ball, you could do like 3 lanes or something like that and have a curb at one, you know, have a ledge at another, and then just maybe a flat one or something like that, so that, you know, there in my mind there's like a 1 foot or 1.5 foot transition at the end of it to get speed. Then that would also be a great spot for someone, you know, to learn or have some space to skate. One thing I observe about parks around here is people are always trying to find an area to play a game of skate, and there's oftentimes it's just not even considered. You know, there's no space on the tops. So, yeah, that was, what else did I have? That bocce thing. Yeah, I think I'm good.
You want to share any features or anything?
You want to share anything?
I just got here.
Do you want to skate anything? I know you. Yeah.
Is this a time for questions at all?
Yeah, can be.
I was curious, is there a significant price difference, like, or cost in like street features compared to transitions, or like a mini ramp compared to like a bowl, deep end, or anything?
Not.
No, okay.
There's some signature, like something like a full pipe, there's a price tag for that, a pretty hefty one. But as far as like, yeah, transitional versus street terrain, in the end, it's all kind of a wash.
Cool.
There's different technical pieces to each, but it all kind of washes out. So.
Yep. All right. I definitely want to second the car idea, or third or fourth, whatever that was. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty sick. I think a multi-level like ledge manual pad where it's not just like, I don't know, something to get a little bit creative with. Maybe turn it into like a block stair set at the end or something. Kind of like Hart Plaza style where you can do multiple things on the obstacle. I think Euros, like a Euro gap, would be pretty sick if you have sufficient speed for it. It's always a bummer when there's a Euro gap when you have to try so hard to get up it. So it'd be pretty sick if there's something like that. And then I think something that could go with a Euro step up, whatever, would be a mellow kink rail. Maybe not everyone would skate it, but it'd be something pretty unique as long as it's mellow so that like it actually does get skated. Yeah, it'd be something. I can't think of anywhere in Michigan that's got a kink rail at the park other than Modern, which is a good one, but it's indoor. Also, bump to bar is pretty fun. And anything I would suggest, I would say is mellow because.
Like you guys got your own bump to bar going out there.
Yeah. The torn up one.
The one that's like halfway built.
Yeah. It was wood there for 2 years.
Oh really? Looking good though.
Also, I think outlets are a pretty good idea. Just a couple. I was thinking Ford charging would be sick, but I don't know how good of an idea it is to leave your stuff charging. But also for events, it's kind of sick to have access to power. So you can do events, water bottle fountain. I think that's it.
There's always kids that are begging for water. We have functional bathrooms.
I'm not really sure, but one of the things I was thinking about is a Pontiac challenge, something out there that really is a challenge that would draw people, to it. Everybody have you done the Pontiac challenge, and I don't know if it's like a rail thing or what, but something that stretches your capability. Yeah.
Okay. Well, who else is?
This gentleman had a question up here. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Okay. I never skated in my life, so I probably learned everything just looking at a presentation.
Right.
And all the terminology I learned just now. Anyhow, one of the comments questions I would have is, you never had any mention about safety in your presentation. Nowhere. Because this is not a safe game.
Skate parks are not safe.
I know. What I'm saying is, the thing is, you have to mention about safety and again, the statistics about how many casualties, accidents usually happen in your parks and how you can avoid that in the future. Those are to be considered. Requiring the power, why can't you have a solar grid that will have a free power?
That could be an option.
No, should be a requirement.
Right.
I won't say it's an option because how else you can get this much power?
Yeah.
And it's open space. You can have any amount of solar or wind energy you want. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
And then as far as, just to touch on the safety thing, as far as safety statistics, we don't have a lot of safety statistics on our park. Generally, skateboarders, you fall, you take your lumps, and you get up and go home, and you come back the next day. It's not like a, football or soccer game or whatever where you stop the game and the medics come check you out and this and that.
No,
So,
my point was basically designed for safety. Most of the designs you've done over-experienced. Okay, so you know all that.
yeah, you want to grab the mic, Trevor? Did you get introduced at the beginning?
No, but I'm Trevor Staples. I'm with the Skatepark Project, formerly the Tony Hawk Foundation. So we funded half of the skate park. And we've been working on projects like these for 20 years. And so as far as the safety, You know, if you Googled skateboard accident, you'd get a million videos, right? Most of those are on the street, in an alley, going down some stairs that lead to a street onto a sidewalk. But it's mostly related to traffic, pedestrians, or uneven surfaces, cracks, and things like that. So professionally designed skate parks are designed in a way that just there are fewer injuries at skate parks than there are on the street. So if that helps with that. Sure. It may be, but well, I'll tell you this. Insurance for skate parks is covered just like it's covered in a municipality, just like a tennis court or a basketball court or a ball diamond. So that's how likely it is that someone's going to get injured. I don't have the numbers right here, but I can tell you that it's not more dangerous in a skate park than other sports. But I don't have the numbers for you right here. What's that? How many deaths do you know about at your parks? At skate parks? Yeah. 0. And most injuries that I've seen, and this is just anecdotally, wrists, so people not wearing wrist guards, that's probably the most common injury. And then bumping of head with no helmet on. But you'll see, and I don't know, I don't understand the physics of this, because I wear knee pads and slide on my knees, because I'm an old guy, right? But you'll see most of these people will either run out of tricks or slide down the transition on their back or behind, you know, and I don't get it, but it works. And, you know, so as far as injuries and especially deaths, I mean, I don't know of any deaths at skate parks. Maybe 1 in 20 years somewhere that I may have heard about, but it just doesn't happen.
I have, most of them I incorporate your design. So I don't know whether the space is permit. Yeah, if the space permit, so I would suggest you can add some natural trees which could provide a nice environment.
Natural trees?
Yeah, trees. So I think most of them are mentioned water fountains, for kids play area, and some like a 15 to 20 people, like a picnic spot, like outside from the skating place. And apart from that, yes, nice flower gardens.
Nobody mentioned about Native American art though.
The first.
Oh, did it? Okay. All right.
We got Native American art second thing on here. I smeared it with.
Okay, so my name is Rolando. I teach at an elementary school here in the city. I teach at Alcott and Whitman and Pontiac Middle. I think a big part of just safety in general is this meeting and asking the people who are actually going to use the park what level they're at and what level they want the skate park to be at, and making sure we're meeting that level and not going above it. So I want to commend you all for doing this step, because a lot of cities, a lot of other projects don't do this step or skip it or don't take it as serious. Just to kind of add on some of the stuff Mike said in the beginning, I know we talked a lot about like the history of Pontiac and wanting to incorporate, obviously it's called Pontiac. So we want to incorporate the Native American history here, the Anishinaabe people who are here, all the way up to our automotive history. I'm someone who, one of my grandfathers came here in the automotive boom in the 40s, and the other one came here in the 60s. So GM, and what they did to Pontiac is a big part of my life and a big part of a lot of people, livelihoods here. I also think that a lot of us in this room are Mexican, and a lot of us in Pontiac are Mexican. So incorporating that into the park area somehow, or that culture in the park area somehow, would be awesome. For myself as an activist who does like events and mutual aid stuff at the park, I think an awning or covered area would be sick. Definitely power so that we could have music and stuff would be awesome. But just, any spot where there's a little bit of coverage where we can chill and hang. So a lot of times we do like grocery giveaways and cookouts and stuff at the current skate park, and we're like all the way against the fence to try to be under the shade. So In the new one, definitely some fixed shade would be helpful and appreciated.
I'm kind of a beginner to intermediate skater, I guess. So everything that's been said is great, and obviously with the kids, beginner is great for them. And I don't know, we just look forward to getting out and skating.
Homie over there told me to say that they want some red curbs, some good slappy curbs. So I forgot that.
Well, actually, I think that list is an excellent list. I'm not a skateboarder. I just like to watch the sport. So I think you guys done a great job, and I'm glad to see so many people coming out and actually being a part of this process. So I definitely thank you on the part of the city of Pontiac. And I definitely look forward to seeing the finished product coming this year. So thank you. Oh yeah, that purple and that Phoenix and that Chief Pontiac and the Mexican heritage. Oh, you got a lot of things to work on. But
you know, skateboarding. Today we're saying skateboarding, but it's been around a long time. You know, our parents are. You know, a lot of us who grew up as kids, we were making skateboards out of orange crates and everything. You know, and every alley, every street, or whatever, became a place to do that, you know, and every fence we probably could skate over. So, but it was a safe type of event, and you know, you fall down or something, but you get back up and you do it again. So, you know, I know the gentleman raised the issue on the safety and all of that, but you know, when you compared with some of the other sports, you know, this is a pretty safe one.
You know, Trevor made a really good point about most of the accidents you see are ones that don't happen in the skate park, and part of, you know, positive thing about a skate park is not just that it's professionally designed to minimize, you know, collisions and things like that, but it's also promotes kids learning how to take turns and sharing, and, you know, working together and helping teach, you know, beginners and whatnot and stuff like that. So there's all that sort of community that comes with the design itself. It's worth mentioning.
And one thing, it was mentioned that the spectators come to watch the skating. So this isn't necessarily goes to the design of the skate park, but the most successful skate parks I've seen do have spectator areas that are comfortable to come to, where people who don't skate can come up and check it out and see what it's all about. And then they realize, oh, it's not as dangerous as I thought it was, or whatever. And even the ability to just walk into the skate park when it's slow and check it out, and being welcoming to the neighborhoods around and the community of non-skaters. So that's something I think that's important.
Yeah.
There's a few more things that I thought of because everyone has good ideas. So one thing that I really liked that you showed in that overview of it's the biggest skate park. I can't remember exactly which one that was, but there was a lot of these like cool like floating like kind of like floating lines. Like there was like a pump track and maybe like a step up kind of Euro thing. And then it brought me to think about like Arvada skate park, I think, that has that potato chip. Something like that would be sick, like a mini potato chip though, because that one's kind of gnarly. Yeah. But that was something that I was thinking would be cool. And just like really like aesthetically incorporating those kind of floating lines like was pretty cool as we were touring through that park. Oh man, I always forget what I was about to say. When it comes to like the street features, people with aging knees really love ways to kind of wally up onto stuff. So it'd be cool to like make sure we're incorporating easy ways up for those whose knees don't work like they used to, or maybe they're learning to. And
yeah, definitely would try to include like a pumpable route throughout the park.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure. I think that's it though. Anyone else? Oh yeah.
One of the like actual like ideas that I had was like maybe doing a love seat, but that was the back end of a car or the front end of a car.
Okay.
And if we're going to do a car, obviously it has to be a Pontiac. So if we could just make sure that that's noted, yeah.
Thanks.
Is there any favorites? Because if you guys don't say something, it's gonna be a Firebird. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, we do want a Phoenix, so.
Yeah. There you go.
Since we're working on the Pontiac Transportation Museum, like, we got a bunch of cars there. Mike, if you're gonna consider something like that, one of our curators come and say, here's something, maybe the first Pontiac or something else, or what it is, so we can do that.
Okay.
So we'll give you design. Okay? Tell us. Appreciate you guys.
I think so. Yeah. Just put it back here. So, just to kind of go over the next steps real quickly here before we wrap up. So the next step is creating a preliminary concept. I'm coming back in October to present that concept. And then basically getting more feedback from you guys, what you like. Maybe it's perfect, maybe you hate the whole thing and we completely tear it down, or maybe there's just a few tweaks or somewhere in between all of those things. And then we refine the concept, and I think we'll post it on the Facebook page for approval at that point. Then we get into construction documents, do all the engineering, working drawings, and then construction ASAP, which is still a bit of a moving target, but we want to get out there and break ground as soon as possible, taking into consideration the weather, of course. And then here's mine and Alex's info. I'd highly encourage you guys to send me any information you have, especially on like the Native American and Mexican heritage stuff, the auto history stuff, any of that stuff that you guys have. Think about it when you go home tonight, next couple days. But my email's just matt@grindline.com, super easy to remember. But we really want to, we want maximum feedback from this community on how to celebrate your community in the park design. So keep the ideas coming. Other than that, I'll hang out here if you guys want to chat more informally. And thanks everybody for coming, and this super good group. You guys are all really positive and have really good ideas, and I think we got enough here to make something killer for you. Killer in a good sense, not the safety sense. Thanks everybody.
Thanks, Matt.